Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Nathan Drinker, and I'm Jay Wise. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. As always, we're on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so many other podcast platforms. And if you're looking for us in a video format, you can find us at the A Drink of Wisdom YouTube channel. Drink, busy show today, lots to get to. But first, how are you doing?
Hey, man, you said it. The busy show, lot to get to. And once again, I usually use this line at the end when we do rapid reactions, a whole lot of topics, a little bit of time. That's going to be the whole show today. So without further ado, how everything with you?
It's good. As usual, ready to jump right in. Let's go.
All right, jump right in. We're going to do another day, another dollar. We're giving the streets what they need. We see what they don't. Absolutely say what they want. Set your dinner plates because it's time to eat. And last but not least, let's talk some sports, baby. Jay, what we got today?
Well, this is episode 46. We got Deshaun Watson. We got the early waves of NFL free agency, and we have the NCAA men's basketball tournament. But we will start with the news that seemingly broke social media on Sunday, and that was the announcement of the recently retired Tom Brady that he is unretiring after just 40 days. He'll be back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next season. I'm sure many teams, NFC South, they're probably not all that pleased, but Drink, not a whole lot to set up for this one. What was your reaction when you heard this news?
I tell you this, I wasn't surprised. I just wasn't. You think about it, right? Usually when quarterbacks are the caliber of Tom Brady, and we talking quarterbacks that's in the GOAT conversation per se. Usually when they stop playing is when the game forces them to stop playing. And if you don't understand what I mean, go back and look at Peyton Manning's last year. It was time. It was time. I don't think people argue the fact that, hey, bring Peyton Manning back for another year. I think by the time they won that Super Bowl, it was about that time. It was evident it was about that time. I think even Peyton Manning knew it was about that time. And then you got some, other quarterbacks that, Joe Montana. You have quarterbacks that's of a different caliber, but then, age usually come in a factor, and their skill sets start to deteriorate to a point where you like, listen, this dude is great, but we don't want to see him again. He could be great on the broadcast booth. He could be great in his next chapter of his life. But as far as being a pro football player, yeah, we probably done with him. We don't say that about Tom Brady. We still ain't all about Tom Brady. We still look at him as somewhat the quote unquote standard right now. Because you can name all these other quarterbacks, and there's some young thoroughbreds, some young, for lack of word, killers out there for the quarterback position. But when you're talking about, if you had to put if you said the face of the quarterback position, the standard of the quarterback position, I think you got Tom Brady somewhere in there. I think a lot of these guys, they won't admit it, but they would love to be at, held to that same standard that Tom Brady is. The championships, just the way he positions himself for the games. I think him and LeBron James got a certain relationship where they call each other the GOATs, right? And I think the reason both of those guys are in their positions, whether you feel like it's other means, i.e. coaching or whatever, is just because how serious they take the game. And I know we're looking at LeBron in the NBA and just want to, what in the hell going on with the Lakers. But at the end of the day, look, you still see LeBron out here dropping 30. The rest of the team just, so when is the season going to be over? Are we going to be in this play-in tournament or not? Whereas Tom Brady, as soon as he signs, if you was to sign, right now, Tom Brady, being as old as he is and come back for his 23rd season, I guarantee you it's at least probably 5 teams that'll drop what they doing to sign Tom Brady. So it shows you, it's just just the grip he has, like when you're talking about the standard of quarterback. Because it don't, like, I know we would like to think that football is just about what you do on the field and just, get on there and play well and, do your best, and that's the best way to do it. But I think me and you can say this with all honesty. The NFL is a business. So it's other things that come into this. That's why we had that old dump show in Miami, because it's a business, right? And I think, a lot of teams, when you get a chance at Tom Brady, you're getting a chance at a $1 billion revenue. You're getting a chance at turn around your franchise. You get a chance at somewhat a mentor that could come here and teach young players how to win, what it takes to win. You get all that with Tom Brady. So with that said, yeah, I mean, who honestly thought Tom Brady was done after what you seen last year? It wasn't like Tom Brady got smoked in the playoffs. Did they lose? Yes. But do you put it all on Tom Brady? Did they lose because Tom Brady wasn't good enough? That's the question you got to ask yourself. When you go back and watch that last playoff game, did Tampa Bay lose because Tom Brady wasn't good enough? And I don't know if you could definitively say that. I think you can share the blame. So until we get a season where Tom Brady, something similar to Peyton Manning's last season, where it's like, hey man, that defense had to carry Brady. I mean, he was god awful. Then I think Tom Brady gonna just 1 year. The bad part about this whole thing is Tom Brady shouldn't have retired. It just feels like he shouldn't have retired. And maybe his body was telling him it was time to hang it up. His dad came out, and he came out, and I guess he via social media, and he said that the reason Tom Brady retired was because he was pressured. Now, I mean, that sounds a little crazy. I will say, who could pressure Tom Brady to doing anything? Like, listen, most of the people, because his dad made it sound like, okay, he was pressured by the media because the media came out real fast, Adam Scheffler and some of the other guys saying, oh, he's going to retire. And he wasn't ready to retire, but by the time they dropped the news, it forced him to retire. I think that's baloney, because I don't know how any news writer could force the greatest quarterback of all time to retire. Like, if anything, news writers will want him to stay because they give you more news to write about, which feeds your family more, which furthers your agenda. Either way, that's what his dad said. And I honestly think, at the end of the day, Tom Brady rushed it. Maybe he did feel like he wanted to retire. Then he got home and just felt like, listen, I feel just as good as I did 5 years ago. And he sat down, he talked to Gazelle, talked to the kids, talked to his agent, and said, listen, I had fun doing that 30 for 30 with Rob Woodson. The rule is the rule. I mean, not Rob Woodson, I'm sorry, Charles Woodson. I had fun doing that 30 for 30 with Charles Woodson. And I don't know, he went out somewhere, probably worked out, still felt like he had enough. And here we are, we're back. Now, my question for you, Jay, is once you get to your point, my thing is, we heard about the unretiring of Tom Brady via social media. Not knocking it, because we hear about a lot of things by the social media. But for me personally, it's just very hard to believe he's all the way back until I see either Tampa Bay make a move or until I see Tom Brady throwing a football for Tampa Bay or for some other team. I don't know. It could be a possibility he get traded. I don't know. But I'm taking it right now with a grain of salt. But to answer your question, when I first heard it, I wasn't surprised. Because I didn't see anything in the playoffs, or better yet, I didn't see anything in Tom Brady's last games that made me think, oh yeah, he's done. He's really done. He's really done. I thought when he announced his retirement, that was pretty fast. 40 days later, he unretired. So I just think, hey man, he still got some game in him, and I ain't mad at him for unretiring because I think he's still one of the guys. I mean, he's just older, but like LeBron say, if I still got some damn game I want to play, and Tom Brady still got some game. So we'll see how this play out over the next couple of months or so. But I mean, I'm glad to have him back. Tom Brady always give us something to talk about, so I ain't mad at it at all. But we'll see how they get done.
Yeah, I'd say I was surprised, although I'm not shocked, because this isn't something that kind of just knocked my socks off completely. But I mean, when a guy of this magnitude says, "Hey, I'm leaving the game," I take him at his word, for whatever his reason may be. We do have to. One of the things that it's real simple, but I think it's easily overlooked is this guy's played the game for 22 years, which is I don't know what the average career in the NFL is, but it's what do you say, probably a quarter of that, maybe even less.
It's like I think I would say I'm willing to say the average career, just the average, is probably 3 to 5 seasons. To be honest with you.
So maybe even less than a quarter then. So I just say that's a long time to play a game as physical and violent as football, even though Tom Brady's playing quarterback. And as I've said, repeatedly, the rules, the relaxation and the rules of how you can approach quarterbacks as a defensive player, it's going to continue to yield quarterbacks of the elite level to continue playing for a really long time. Maybe not as long as Tom Brady, but I think you'll see quarterbacks now, some of the most the elite of the elite, they'll play at least until they're 40 if they choose to do so. So the question was absolutely never, as you say, about his ability to play football and to throw the football. I mean, this guy, you look at last year, obviously the Bucs run a really pass-happy offense, but he led the league in passing yards, he led the league in touchdowns, completions, attempts. And as you say, the Bucs, you can put some of the playoff game on Tom Brady, but I think when you going into that game, I think we both knew the Bucs were compromised in their health, and not only their health, but of some guys just exiting the team some type of way. So we knew what that meant. We knew what that did to the weaponry they had. They had Mike Evans, Gronk, and then just a bunch of
Scott and Miller.
Hey, we need to get the guys together. We need to do an orientation real quick. Just, let's reintroduce each other. Take 5. These guys, and so I think the fact that no Chris Godwin, no AB, that ended up being a big deal. So, but if you look back at what the Bucs have been doing, and to your point about the legitimacy of this, and I do understand what you're saying, but I think if there was something to where like it wasn't legitimate, like we'd have heard something else by now. It's like, no, that was a joke, guys. Actually, not coming back. I just wanted to set Twitter on fire.
So I agree with that, but I guess I'm also saying coming back to be the quarterback of the Buccaneers, because like you hear these rumors about the 49ers, or like he possibly want to go back to California because that's where he was born and raised before he went to Michigan. So I guess just in general, just not just if he's really unretired, but if he'll be the starting quarterback for the Bucs. I think
the Twitter and Instagram posts said his 23rd season he'll be in Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So I mean, and I think his, I don't know the status of his contract, but
his post also said he was retired.
Yeah, it's right. It did. But if you just look at some of the moves Tampa Bay has made, kind of in the background through all this, there was never any news about them, like, that I don't think any like significant news. I saw one thing where they were kind of sort of linked to Deshaun Watson, but I other than that rumor, I didn't see anything else to say they were in the market for any other big name quarterback, because there seemingly has been a lot of rumors, a lot of trade talk, and a lot of that type of speculation around some big time quarterbacks, more so than we normally see this time of year. And I didn't see the Bucs involved a whole lot in that. And then you take a look at their use of the franchise tag on Chris Godwin. If they didn't have an established quarterback that they could bring in, that would seem to be a curious franchise tag to me. You're going to pay this dude premium money to catch passes from we don't know who. So I thought that was something. I thought, when Chris Godwin got franchise tagged, I said, I mean, they must have a plan of some sort. So I think it would appear that they maybe they expected this or were hoping for this, that he come back into the fray. And then you've seen what they've seen some of the other things they've done. They brought back the center Ryan Jensen, Carlton Davis just re-signed. They did lose Alex Cappa, one of their guards. Don't forget Ali Marpet also retired, and Jordan Whitehead, I think he's moved on to the New York Jets. So the thing about, if you remember coming off the Super Bowl, one of the big things that of course they can be back again. They brought back all 22 starters. Well, they won't have it. They won't have that this time, but they will have. They will still have a significant portion of their starters, and I don't think they're, you don't look at some of these guys that they're losing and say, okay, this is a top 5 dude. They absolutely have to have this guy. They couldn't lose this guy, So they'll have Brady, they'll have Mike Evans, they'll have Chris Godwin. It remains to be seen what happens with some of these other free agents. You talk about Ndamukong Suh, Leonard Fournette, JPP. They have lost, like I said, they've lost both guards. They did reinforce a little bit at guard today. I think that's in Rapid Reactions. But, the thing about it, when Tom Brady retires and you don't have a quarterback, then forget about him. Like, don't care what the Bucs are doing at every other position. You got to have that. Now that he's back, this immediately vaults them back in the title contention conversation, at least right now.
And you know what? You're right, because now that I think about it, I was wondering why the hell Bruce Arians was still there, and now it makes sense to me because I just
That's
knew
another one. That's true.
He would have left as soon as Tom Brady left, but it did baffle me. Like, why is he still with the team? There we go.
And I do wonder, and I don't know this to be true at all, but we did see, right or wrong, we did see the media jump the gun a little bit. And they put it out there, and there wasn't anything official we saw yet. And then Tom Brady said, I want to retire. And I remember at the time, I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of like, man, I would have loved to see him actually say, I'm not retiring. Y'all don't break that news. I'm the greatest of all time. You don't get to break my retirement news.
Right.
So I do seriously wonder if that had any effect on his decision to come back. But then again, it could be other things. I mean, when you look at the way some guys have went out in a blaze of glory, the Peyton Mannings, the John Elways, even the Andrew Whitworths of the world, I think the fact that, if Tom Brady had retired after, his 7th Super Bowl, against the Chiefs just 2 years ago, and he retired then, maybe going out on top, he stays retired. That type of thing could be somewhat alluring. Right. Especially since he can clearly still play. So, anyways.